Cynic, and I will be presenting on the subject of Monsanto. My awesome title is The Good, the Bad, the Monsanto. So there, bam, let's just go with it. All right, here we go. So as y'all know, we have to do a thesis statement, and honestly, before I started doing this research about this Monsanto company, I only knew very few facts due to social media like Facebook. So my original thesis was the reign of the corporation Monsanto has demonstrated that we need to provide a better solution in producing enough food for the future growing population without the use of pesticides and GMOs. This was my original thought. However, with a lot more research and use of academic journals and watching TED Talks, I've changed my mind a little bit. The reign of the corporation Monsanto has demonstrated that we need to provide more education and ethical practices in order to produce enough food for the future growing population without the dictation of big corporations like Monsanto. All right, so let's start out first. What is Monsanto, first of all? Because I didn't even know what that was. I sounded really fancy to me. Honestly, sound like a car company, actually. However, no. According to Monsanto's official website, the company is actually a sustainable agricultural company. They're focused on empowering farmers, and they have seed brands and produce seed technologies aimed on efficiency and reducing costs. Monsanto also is a producer in genetically engineered seeds and Roundup herbicide. However, they've had many controversies due to their GMO seeds and their food that the farmers use. And they've had multitude of lawsuits against them. This has been happening for years now, and they still have lawsuits currently against them. But let's talk about the origin, first of all. And actually, surprisingly, Monsanto is older than you might think. Originally, it was founded in 1901 as a chemical company. The founder, John Queeny, who, fun fact, he named the company after his wife, so props to him. He established Monsanto in order to produce saccharin, which, if you all don't know what saccharin is, it's basically the fancy word for artificial sweetener, and it's really sweet, however, has no nutritional value. And another fun fact is one of Queenie's earliest customers was the Coca-Cola Company for their dietary products like Diet Coke. And here's a little more history. By 1905, there was two more food additives, vanillin, which was synthetic vanilla, and coumarin, which is synthetic cinnamon. And by the 1920s, Monsanto featured industrial chemicals like PCB. And PCB is very toxic. It's resistant to acid and heat. And it was actually used for some time as coolant on various electric devices. But it was banned in 1979 after further research went into it. By 1939, World War II, Monsanto was a leading chemical supplier for the U.S. military. And then Monsanto started to shift to agricultural business by developing pesticides post-war. And if you didn't guys know this already, they are best known for Agent Orange. And if y'all don't know what that means, Agent Orange was basically very effective chemical at destroying the crops of the Viet Cong during the war. However, it went on to contaminating more than the crops. It contaminated, honestly, a whole population and resulted in many birth defects that we still see in today's world, which is really sad. Another little snippet of fun fact I should put in here is by the 1970s, they were the first company to mass produce LED lights. This helped lower the cost to LED lights to less than 10 cents per light versus 200 it was originally. So that's a little interesting. So Monsanto started moving more from the chemical company towards the agricultural biotech engineering. And 1983 was the star-stellar year for them. They were the first to genetically modify plants, as we know today, GMOs. Now I'm going to talk about GMOs because I feel like a lot of us are very confused, or we have a lot of facts thrown at us that are not real. In fact, I was really misunderstood as well. So many think of the food that GMO as detrimental bad. However, after my research, basically in order to grow with the fast rise of population, many foods must have some GMO interaction in order to thrive. All right. So I watched the TED Talks and introduced Pamela Ronald, who is a plant geneticist, and she basically gave a TED Talks about how it's actually not as bad as you think. Genetic modification is not new. It's been around for many, many years. And as she put it in great words, we want to help nourish the growing population without further destroying the environment, which I am all gung-ho about that. Any way we can help preserve our beautiful environment, we must take a chance on. She also goes on to say the loss of a majority of food can be diminished with GMO intervention. For example, when rice paddy fields are flooded for too long, we lose a lot of our crops that way. However, with the intervention of GMOs, there has been proven that the paddies thrive even though they are flooded due to the adjustment in their genetic code. So that really helps. We also you've also heard that genes from viruses and bacteria are put into plants and our vegetables. Many people that's really disgusting and icky, and it does sound a little wrong. However, the reason for this is it's the cheapest, fastest, and most effective technology for improving food security and advancing sustainable agriculture in a fast-growing population. Pamela Ronald also goes on to say, quote, crops currently on the market are safe to eat and that the process of genetic engineering is no more risky than older methods of genetic modification. There you have it. So, back to Monsanto. Is it good or is it bad? Let's figure this out. Honestly, Monsanto, the company itself, it does not have good intentions. I will say that. They restrict access to their seeds. They have patented their GM seeds. They cannot be copied in whatsoever way. And actually, farmers must sign legal documentation that state no sharing whatsoever, no sharing of crops, even for personal or research by scientists. And they're not allowed to even replant the seeds that they use and the plants they make. They must buy into this program, so it ensures that the revenue is constantly growing from Monsanto because they put these farmers into a hamster wheel that they must constantly be buying from them. Another big issue is the Roundup. Roundup, as you might know, you use it to kill your weeds in the backyard. I know I used to do it. And it's a herbicide, and glyphosate is the most active ingredient. It's actually the number one widely used herbicide in the U.S., and the reason why farmers use it a lot is because they could plant way more crops because they can plant their plants closer together because they could use Roundup to kill the weeds that would have killed the crops. So that means they would obviously plant closer and just douse their fields in Roundup. But as Mother Nature has proven many times before, it has evolved. And in the past decade, there has been an introduction of a glyphosate-resistant weed known as superweeds. So that's interesting. So in conclusion, GMOs are not that evil. I've learned that. It's what we have to do to thrive. But when something is made that successful like GMOs and you can make seeds out of it, many will want it dried due to greed. Monsanto. However, Monsanto has also been proven to be the bully in the world of agriculture. And this is proven, again, as I said, because they patent their GMO seeds so no one else can use them. And there has been even reports of significant decline of amphibian life in relation to pesticide Roundup. And even Roundup's main ingredient, glyphosate, was found to be lethal to 3 different kinds of human cells, umbilical, embryonic, and placental. In Monsanto, there's a business that they're created by luring farmers into endless cycle buying seeds, and that's just not right. But yeah, so I hope you learned something today. These are my citations, and I truly recommend you guys look at all these ones. I really recommend my TED Talks one that I found. It's going to be right here, The Case for Engineering Our Food. It was super good, super quick, because TED Talks is quick. And these are my images as well. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing all the rest of your guys' presentations as well. Thank you.